In May 1778, he had drafted a bill of attainder, an automatic conviction of an individual by legislative fiat, for a man named Josiah Phillips, for committing murders, burning houses, wasting farms, and doing other acts of hostility. Phillips was given a certain amount of time to surrender himself for trial. If he failed to turn himself in, he would be declared guilty. Jefferson's bill was an extraordinary expression of power and the work of a pragmatic politician. Essentially, it denied Phillips the rights the Americans said they were fighting for. For Jefferson, the practical need to end the Phillips insurrection outweighed the ideal application of the principles of the Declaration of Independence. Noting the failure to recruit sufficient infantry volunteers in June 1778, he suggested that the Congress commute a good part of the infantry required from us for an equivalent force in horse. This service opens to us a new fund of young men who have not yet stepped forth. I mean those whose indolence or education has unfitted them for foot service. As governor, he also lamented the state of Virginia's navy, noting that a shipbuilding effort had been unsuccessful beyond all my fears. But it is my opinion we should still persevere in spite of disappointment, for this plain reason, that we can never be otherwise defended. He had made a point of touring Virginia's gunnery east of Fredericksburg, and he insisted on attempting to secure the West. He and George Rogers Clark planned an expedition against Britain's Fort Detroit. A decade younger than Jefferson, Clark was a tall, adventurous Virginian who had studied surveying in his youth. Clark was a pioneering figure in Kentucky and played a critical role in defending the western lands from British-supported Indian attack. He captured Kaskaskia on the Mississippi River and Vincennes, a point roughly halfway between St. Louis and Louisville, under pressure from Hare Buyer Hamilton. Clark's exploits in the Northwest in the icy winter of 1778-79 secured American influence over the Illinois country. He was a tough man. Years later, after severely burning his leg in an accident, Clark watched a parade of Kentucky militia out the window of the doctor's office where he was undergoing an amputation. Listening to the martial music, he endured the brutal operation, reportedly turning to the doctor only afterward, asking, "Well, is it off?" Clark was the kind of man Jefferson needed, a bold commander who could execute the vision Jefferson formulated and fought for in the political world. Ultimately, though, the George Rogers Clark expedition to Detroit was deemed too dangerous. Jefferson told Washington that the want of men, want of money, difficulty of procuring provisions made the mission impossible for now. He reported the decision with regret. Nearly a quarter of a century later, Jefferson was to entrust a journey to the Pacific to George Rogers Clark's brother, William Clark, and Meriwether Lewis. Jefferson soon needed Clark for another project, putting down loyalists. There is reason to apprehend insurrection among some discontented inhabitants, Tories, on our southwestern frontier, he wrote Clark in March 1780. I would have you give assistance on the shortest warning to that quarter. Nothing can produce so dangerous a diversion of our force as a circumstance of that kind, if not crushed in its infancy. Jefferson was in no humor to be